Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. It's been a rainy road kind of day, and we have the same sector rotation that took place all last week. It's happening again today, and significantly so. Let's break down to organize the two sides where we have the tech sector and the high flyers, and we have the laggards and the financial sector, because again, this is very important. It's been coming into play time and time again over the last 11 months, ever since the COVID lows. And it's very important to be paying attention to know where to focus as a bull and as a bear. Let's break it down. So before we get into our regular old technical analysis, let's break it down. We've got our QQQ tech sector, and we're going to go through these charts. So QQQ, and again, big drop this past week, and then big drop today. We've got semiconductors seeing weakness today as well. They are holding up better than the tech sector, but they're in that category. We've got our high flyers. Some of those high flyers were Zoom and they were SQ and names like that. I don't care about those names as much recently. What we're seeing is Biden names are selling off with the tech sector. So the solar sector, TAN, big dump over the last 5 days. The EV space, Tesla is in a bit of free fall. NIO, BLNK, XPEV, all of these EV names are doing the same thing. We're going to focus on them at the end of this video because I believe there's a bounce opportunity approaching potentially tomorrow. So I'll show you what I'm watching for trading opportunities in that sector tomorrow. But these were the sectors that led the COVID bounce. They came off the low hard and fast. They were our strongest. Money was piling into them. Multiple times in the last 11 months, we've seen brief consolidation on these names and then the laggards. And our laggards are XLF, big time bull move over the last few weeks, all-time highs. XLE, look at the energy sector. This is not your solar and EV energy sector. This is your oil. Look at Exxon Mobil. Bull flag, we're up at the high. We're testing the high of the COVID bounces. Look at the hotel sector. Hyatt Hotels, all bulls the last 3 weeks. We've got our cruise liners, all bulls the last week. Airliners, all bulls. You get the idea. The laggard sectors, gambling names, WIN, WINN, all bull. Group them. And now we're going to watch for the rotation to take place in the other way. What has happened over the last 11 months is this rotation is nothing new. It's just usually brief to this side. To our laggards, it usually lasts a couple weeks. And then we see the rotation right back into these tech names. So a lot of these tech names and EV names, we are looking for weekly higher lows. The question is, do we see that rotation take place in time to keep weekly higher lows? And again, bigger picture, as long as this rotation game is taking place, the broader market stays healthy. We do not see money leave the market. We do not see the volatility sector spike. And we do not see a big sell-off if one of our major sectors is going up. Got a turkey party invading. So let's look at SPY. SPY broke our key daily support. We have lost the daily uptrend and we closed near the low of the day. So 387.50 was that support. And now we are at the lowest price we've seen in 2 weeks. Again, it's not a major big deal. The weekly time frame is still very healthy. If we break 368.27, it will be a big deal. But as long as that level holds, it's not. We have been forming weekly higher lows since the COVID bottom. Anytime you say a sentence that says for the first time since the COVID bottom, it gets your attention. Apple just lost the weekly higher low pattern for the first time since the COVID bottom. That gets our attention. SPY is not close to losing its weekly uptrend at this point because the financial sector is at all-time highs and holding everything up. So SPY in the short term, that weekly support of 368.27 is the most important level. If I want to find other short-term support levels, I'm just looking at this pattern of a higher low every day. 386.14, 381.97. You get the idea. Every low of the day is a short-term support level to be watching. We're in an hourly downtrend, which is very clear. And all I'm watching for is once we see the financial sector pull back, do we see those funds go back into the EV names and in the solar sector names and in the tech sector names? Turkey. So, IWM holding on well. We would have to drop down and break 219.39 for it to join weakness as far as SPY is concerned. And even then, we would just be looking for a weekly higher low. So we're not seeing any kind of significant weakness in the Russell 2000. And in our small cap names, the weakness is in the tech sector. QQQ was down over 2%. XLF was up over 1% most of the day. This is a notable high volume drop. The weekly time frame, however, is still in an uptrend. Look at the weekly EMA 12. It has been holding as support for the last 3 months. I would say if the bulls hold 312.76, they stay just fine on the weekly time frame. That being said, the fact that Apple is losing its weekly uptrend for the first time, that catches my attention. So bulls have been rewarded by continuously buying dips in this sector. Eventually that won't work. I'm not seeing anything just yet that says that's not going to work this time. So I am going to be watching for bounces in this sector this week. And again, for QQQ, bulls want to hold 312.76 to keep their control on the weekly time frame. Financial sector bulls all day in control. No red flag whatsoever at any point. Anything above 31.77 is a daily high or low. We've been hitting all-time highs the past few days. Bulls in complete control. Healthcare is weak. Healthcare just confirmed a weekly downtrend with the lower high and lower low. We did bounce off the low of today. So as of right now, there's a lack of bear follow through. But we know on this daily bounce, we're just looking for a daily lower high compared to 117.54. XLV does not matter as much to me as the financial sector and the tech sector right now. I'm keeping an eye on it, but if it just keeps, staying fairly range bound, not seeing any massive moves, then it's not going to pull the market in one direction or the other. Because right now, SPY is being pulled in opposite directions by tech and by the financial sector. Biotech sector, daily bear flag confirmed. So I tried this bounce play, ended up not really getting any kind of follow through, and honestly, I just gave up and moved on to other more clear setups. And at this point, we are looking for a weekly higher low still. Tons of space, anything above 138.91. So if you are a biotech sector trader, you're definitely not giving up on the bulls at this point. You're watching this weekly uptrend and weekly EMA 12 support. Just for me, short-term mindset, I'm now focused on the electric vehicle names, which we'll look at here at the end. Semiconductors, daily downtrend confirmed. They have been very correlated to the tech sector the entire COVID bounce. The biggest difference is they've been holding on stronger. And now that we're confirming the daily downtrend, it's still the case. We're holding on stronger, but a big red day in unison with the tech sector. SMH, plenty of space for a weekly higher low to form, anything above 224.93. So again, as far as I'm concerned, as long as something is in a weekly uptrend, we can be watching for dip buying opportunities for weekly higher lows to be set. And for the most part, that's pretty much everything that we're looking at right now. Solar sector, huge drop the last 5 days and just completely falling off. And again, you look at monthly charts. If a monthly chart has run hundreds of percent, 500, 600% with no monthly consolidation, it is not surprising that monthly consolidation is underway. Tesla is on the verge of doing it. I'm watching PENN, P-E-N-N. It's a gambling name. It's very strong, but it's gone thousands of percent with no monthly consolidation, which tells me at some point we will consolidate on the monthly time frame. I can say that for a fact. I just don't know exactly when that's going to be, but I know that every month that goes by where it doesn't happen, we get closer to it happening. So solar sector is now seeing monthly consolidation. Everybody that was going to buy bought. They bought in the lead up into the election. They bought on the election results. They bought on the inauguration. They bought on some executive orders. What's left in the short term? Every short-term catalyst as far as incentive for buying has taken place, and the scales tilted. Demand was always outweighing supply for every one of those short-term catalysts. All the catalysts are used up, and now it's supply outweighing demand. Monthly higher low watch, but bears in complete control. MSOS, the MJ ETF, sideways, so holding on fairly well, all things considered. Can't really put them in a category. In the past, they have been on the XLF side of things as a laggard sector, but they're not seeing that right now, and they're also not seeing tech sector weakness. So they're really doing their own thing, and I'm not really putting them in either category, just watching for a weekly higher low in this sector, and we are heading into their earnings in March. Volatility, a little bit of upside, but again, we will not see big green volatility days as long as one of our major sectors is holding up at its highs. Have to see all major sectors weak at the same time for the volatility sector to thrive. The dollar, down at its lows as far as the past couple weeks, and looking for a weekly higher low. Again, no sign of it, and if we do not confirm a weekly trend change, bulls don't prove anything to us. So dollar not much of a factor in the short term. The metals, so gold bouncing off our 12-hour falling wedge from the last couple of days. Perfect bounce right off of it, and here we are at resistance. If we pull back from here into tomorrow, bulls need to hold the low and confirm the trend change to break bullish from this falling wedge. So that is what we're watching in the short term. As long as we are in this pattern, that's what I'm watching until it breaks. Again, I'm still in GLD and SLV. IRA swing positions came pretty close to stopping out of gold, but that falling wedge stood out to me, so I'm going to let it play out. Silver, way stronger. Daily time frame breaking to higher highs. Just looking up at 30.14, the highest price from that little Reddit euphoria pump. But the bulls are grinding their way back up, and they are way stronger than gold. Miners, big volume green day today. So that's a good sign for the metals as well. Oftentimes the miners are leaders of the metals. Anything under 51.67 is just a daily lower high on GDXJ, but this bounce is significant enough to try and set up a daily trend change once we top out. Oil is all bulls. Daily higher low set, 58.60. We're on to the April contract here for futures, CLJ 2021. We would have to fail 62.29 and lose 58.60 to lose this momentum. Bulls are still strong, and that's what's keeping the energy sector up at the highs with the laggard sectors, which have been taking over the last couple of weeks. And last we got, what's last? Natural gas. So natural gas is trying to form a daily higher low. 4-hour trend change is needed. It's a weak 4-hour bounce at this point. Bulls need follow through to try and set up a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders, which would be a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls for the daily higher low. But work to do for that daily higher low to be set. So I am watching Tesla for a bounce tomorrow. Tesla is approaching daily oversold conditions. If we see a gap down open tomorrow, I want to see a gap down open tomorrow because that would lead to extreme conditions. Gap down today. If we gap down tomorrow, the daily RSI is going to be right at 30. We're looking for a monthly higher low. The 4-hour RSI is crushed down in the low 22s. If we gap down, it'll be in the teens. The hourly RSI is in the teens. If we gap down, we'll be approaching single digits. I want to be as extended as possible on every time frame possible when I'm looking to play an oversold bounce like this. In my opinion, that Tesla is going to mark a bottom on all of these names. NIO, free fall the past few days. BLNK. There's a couple names that have weekly support in play. BLNK, anything above 36.61. I like XPEV weekly support nearby. 37.50 is in play tomorrow. I like LI weekly support in play. 26.52 tomorrow. Weekly equilibriums trying to form. Have to see Tesla bottom. There's definitely correlation there. Even if I'm watching TAN and solar names, in my opinion, Tesla's going to mark the bottom on those names as well. What I need to see, what I want to see a gap down open. I want things to get as extreme as possible. I'm going to instantly start scaling in. I'm going to allocate X amount of risk, of dollar risk. I'm not playing off a support level here. So if I scale in at 705, 695, 685, I've then got an average at 695, and I can do the math. What would be an acceptable loss for me in terms of dollar amount? I'm going to be going a bit more aggressive if we gap down open, so I'm going to give a bit more of risk tolerance, knowing that the reward will be potentially larger as well. So I can just factor, okay, well, if 695 is my average and we drop down to 675, then I will be down this much, and I want to stop out because we'll be in free fall at that point and the risk will be too large. So that's one way to do it, but I am going to look to play the bounce, and I'm going to look to exit at least partial position into an hourly lower high, because I know even if we gap down and we bounce 5 to 7%, we will just be looking for an hourly lower high still. Do not try and take this trade unless you are extremely confident with oversold bounces. It's one of my edges as a trader. I look forward to setups like this. Sometimes they don't work out. And if you do not have experience on knowing when to cut the cord and bail on these bounce plays, you can get in a world of hurt as far as just becoming a bag holder. So if you are newer to them, observe it and paper trade it and get comfortable with this kind of trade. But it's definitely a more advanced trade setup for more advanced traders. So let's see if we get this Tesla bounce to mark some bottoms in the EV and solar sector space, keeping in mind that we must confirm hourly trend changes back to the bulls if we're going to see bounce follow through lasting more than just a day. All right, have a good rest of your day. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Looking forward to tomorrow morning.